allegiance.
Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any public comments? Jan, do we have any public comments? No? Okay, I have just some information for you, is that Leslie Beggs is attending this session by teleconference. She, on the front page of the agenda, she's at Menifee Valley campus of San Jacinto College, and so she can hear us. Can you hear us, Leslie?
I can.
Okay, you guys stay awake because I'm going to test you. I'll call on you that. But when we do have comments from the constituent groups, be sure that you're speaking clearly, loudly into a microphone. And in fact, Connie has a microphone. If I'm not, is that better than the one up here? Okay, so for the constituent groups, we're going to ask you to get Connie's microphone, and I'll try and remember to check with you, Leslie, to see if that's working. Okay, so at this time, a motion is in order to approve the minutes of the October 11th Board of Trustees regular meeting.
So moved.
Thank you. It's been moved by Trustee Darren Garrett and seconded by Trustee Lynn Martin. Are there any questions or additions? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no.
Aye.
I have to do a roll call vote. Thank you for reminding me. We have to do a roll call because we have teleconferencing. So, John, how do you vote on the minutes?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
Ann votes aye. Don? Abe? Leslie?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, the motion is carried. Yeah, it sounds like that. At this time, we'll go to board committee reports. There was no committee meeting for the Policy and Procedure Committee, but the Board Finance Committee report. Darren?
Actually, there was no Board Finance Committee either, although originally on the overall schedule of events for this month, it was actually rescheduled to November 20th. So we will have a report out at our December meeting.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we'll move to reports and information items. 5.1, Modesto Junior College and Columbia College presentation on the scorecard. So if you'll get the microphone, one of you, and we'll, or, okay. All right, so Leslie, we're going to try it with the microphone at the podium, and when the report is finished, I'll ask you if you had any trouble, okay? So, oh, and we want to thank Pedro Rodriguez, our student trustee. Welcome him. Let's see, last month he was installed up in Columbia, so this is our new student trustee, and we're happy to have you here.
I apologize for my tardiness. I hope for it not to happen again. I was very little unfamiliar with the college and the way to get here. Traffic is much different here.
He's a Columbia College student, so.
Good evening. So every year we are required to do a presentation on our scorecard. And so this is the time of year that we generally do that. So again, my name is Melissa Raby, Vice President of Student Services at Columbia College. And I will be presenting this data with James Todd, Vice President of Student Services at Modesto Junior College. So just to begin, first of all, I just want to say that when you go to the scorecard, it kind of rotates colleges up there, and I really tried to keep refreshing and look for either Modesto or Columbia picture, but I couldn't find it, so there we are. Okay, so in order to find the homepage of the scorecard, it's pretty easy. You can either go to Columbia College or Modesto's website, And at the very bottom of the web pages, there's a big old thing called Student Success Scorecard. So if you click on that, it'll take you to the Chancellor's Office webpage that will give you the information. Or you can go directly to the Chancellor's Office webpage, which is right here. And you can then search by college and you will get to the same place. So the beginning of what we want to talk about is the first page is just the Columbia College profile. And the difference, what I want to talk about mostly is that most of the data that we're going to go from here on out is 6-year data. And we've talked about this in the past. So this particular data on the college profile is from 14-15, because that's like a snapshot of the colleges. But the trend data, the completion and the persistent rates, is over a 6-year period. So what they're looking at is students that actually started in 2010, 2011 academic year. And that's the results that they're looking at now. We've talked about in the past that the Chancellor's Office were thinking about going to a 3-year data trend, but that hasn't happened. And so if you think about it, a lot of the work we've done in the recent years is really not reflected yet in this scorecard. So especially if you think about some of the funding that has come through, like the SSSP increases and the student equity funding, those really didn't happen until the 14-15 year. So we're really not seeing a lot of reflection on this particular data, which is why locally we look at more recent data when we're looking at our student equity and other kinds of things.
So as well, when you notice this, this is a college profile. So you can go through and see our last reported data in terms of how many students we have, how they're broken down in terms of age and ethnicity, and other categories as well. You can drill down where you see the red arrow to get a more comprehensive report, especially of our non-credit data and other calculations as well. You'll start to see that some of the numbers will change in reference to the funding that that Melissa was talking about. Those initiatives should start to have some impact starting next year, probably with some of our larger 6-year cohorts. But once we get to that 14-15 year, we're hoping to see a dramatic change, or the state is as well. So one of the tabs that you can hit, and there's about 8 of them up on the top if I've counted them correctly. It starts with remedial, and there's 3 of them in, or 2 of them in remedial or developmental education categories. And so these are our scores for remedial math and remedial English and ESL rates, and they're tracked for 6 years. And these are folks that have first enrolled in a course that's below transfer level and then completed a college level course in the same discipline. And some of our recent legislation as well is asking us to try to be able to do that in 1 year now with our students, people that come in with under transfer level and then being able to get through to a transfer level class. So there's some challenges for us. These are the rates for us right now, and if you can look on the left, you start to see it disaggregated in terms of gender, age, and ethnicity as well.
So as you can see, we have lower than state average success rates in both math and English. And again, thinking back towards, this is a cohort that started 6 years ago. So if we look at local data that we've collected more recently, there's definitely an increase in the success rates that we've had for our students. So for both Modesto and Columbia, Modestos have nearly identical remediation rates as the statewide average in English. And math is a concern, and we've addressed that in several ways. And towards the end of this presentation, we're going to talk about the actual activities that we are doing currently to address some of these data inputs. So for persistent rates, again, these are students that started in 2010, 2011, and in 6 years, what they're looking at is students that have persisted into the following semester. For Columbia, you can see the difference between the college prepared and the students who are unprepared, meaning students who started in a math or English class below transfer level. And so you can see the difference between the success rates or the persistent rates of those different populations. So when we talk about activities to address some of these issues, we're really looking at, for the students who are unprepared for college, you obviously need additional support and assistance in moving forward to be able to continue their persistence in college.
And at MJC, you can also see there's some pretty decent persistence rates in terms of the scorecard rate, right? Those look good at college prepared at 83%, unprepared at 82%. And those are for the first 3 consecutive semesters. I think is an important part to look at this. When you see our equity data and our success data in our plan that's forthcoming in the next couple of months, you'll also notice that one of our biggest challenges is after students hit 30 units or hit 45 units, and we start to see a slope downward instead of them being able to complete. So part of our challenge is really seeing them to the end of the finish line in their completion, or sometimes racking up a lot of units and not necessarily completing their educational goal. So when you look at this, Columbia had slightly lower persistence rates than the statewide average, and MJC was a little bit higher. It starts to show you that we have different kind of cultural barriers on each of our campuses in terms of what our challenges are for students. Another tab that I think is really important, and I think we focused on this a lot at our college, is our degree and transfer outcomes and what we call our completion rate. And our college prepared rate is 55.5%. And interestingly, I know that we've talked a lot about how our students are doing in terms of disaggregated data, but you can see some very, very different rates on the college prepared versus underprepared, where we have a 39% overall rate. But if you look down in the bottom where it has ethnicity and race, for instance, our college prepared African American students are at a 64.3% rate, which is higher than our college prepared average. But it's the ones that are underprepared for college, and that's the majority of those that are on campus, are succeeding at a much lower rate. So a lot of our focus, we have about 20% that are college prepared, and about 80% of our students are college underprepared. So that column is really important to look at, which averages out overall to a 43% rate. And over the course of the last couple of years in our discussions as an Achieving the Dream College, we've tried to think about how do we set goals and targets for our institution. And last year we addressed this by saying that we want to go 10% over this completion rate to a 53% completion rate for the college as a target over the next 5 years. So when you look at our major college plans, they're oriented towards raising our completion rate to 53%. That's related to the data in the scorecard.
And so for Columbia College, you'll notice, again, a huge difference between the college prepared and the underprepared. And one of the things that we really focus on when we're looking at our integrated plan, meaning our SSSP, our equity, our basic skills, all of the initiatives that we're currently looking at, is we're really focusing on completion, because we are lower than the state rate, and we know that. And so what we're looking at is ways that we can really move the needle and bring these scores up. So as you can see, the statewide average is 48% completion, and Columbia College, for the students who completed or started in 2011, is only 36%. So we have a large gap there that we really need to get that needle moved up and get those students to completion. So there's a lot of ways that we're focusing right now, and I'll go into that a little bit later. And Modesto is also slightly less, not quite the dramatic difference than Columbia, but they're still slightly less than the statewide average. So when we talk about our initiatives for student success, we look at this data to say, all right, we know that there's an issue with completion, and so that's where we want to focus our resources and our efforts to really help those students to finish those degrees and certificates. So what are we doing currently at Columbia to address some of these issues? And if you remember from the data, a lot of the big gaps was the difference between underprepared and college prepared and our completion rates. So those are some areas that we're really focusing on. We also looked recently at, we have some theories about, well, at a rural college, we have some unique challenges. And so our research team and our Dean of Student Services led a study on what it looks like at a rural community college. And what they found was across all rural colleges in California, that the completion rates were all lower than the statewide average. And that the disadvantaged populations were all higher. For example, our percentage of our total population has more disabled students in it. Our percentage has more foster youth, and we have more veterans. So whereas the statewide average, for example, might have 5% of their population may be students with a disability, ours is over 10. And so we did a lot of focusing then on helping those populations that we know are doing more poorly than the regular general population, and that we have a higher percentage of. So that's kind of the things that we look at when we talk about where do we want to invest our energy, our time, and our resources. So some of the things we're doing, we looked at the placement. So we have a lot of our students placing into remedial courses, courses that are not transfer level. So what we did is we really focused on the multiple measures placement. So rather than just using the assessment tests, which as you know, AB 705 has come through the pike, that they're kind of mandating it now that everybody kind of look more closely at how to place students without a single measurement. But we've been doing that for quite a while. So we've adopted the multiple measures placement, where we're really looking at more of the high school trends of how they did in high school in terms of their grades and what courses they took. So if they completed Algebra 2 in high school, and then we're not going to make them retake Algebra 2. We're going to be able to place them into a transfer level math. The next step for that is looking at those students who've been out of high school for a while, and how do we place them without a single test measurement. So we're looking at that in our next round of activities. Increasing student participation in educational planning. We've done significant increases in 4 years ago. For our new students coming in, we were only 24% of the population had received a comprehensive ed plan. We're up to over 75% now. So we're really focusing on those new students coming through our door and really getting them focused on that degree plan, on that educational plan where they have that guided pathway, that they know that end run, so that they're not just swirling and taking classes that they may not necessarily need. And then a lot of our focus recently has been implementing the educational planning initiative. I'm hoping that at some point we'll be able to bring that for you to see what it actually looks like. It's an electronic educational planning system. Students will have access to have the plan at their fingertips, and when they go to register, they may not be able to see a counselor right away, but they can pull up their electronic plan and say, oh yeah, I need to take these classes here. So that's real exciting, and hopefully we'll be able to give you guys a presentation at some point. And again, developing those clear pathways. So we're really looking at our 2-year plans, especially at Columbia. It's really difficult because of the small population that we have, that sometimes we can't offer a class more than once every 2 years. So it's really important that students know in order to complete this degree, they're going to have to take this one particular class during this one semester. And so knowing that, when classes are offered and exactly what classes they need to take to get to point A and B is very important. So we're working on those. And I think last year, we shared with you some of the guides that we've put together. So it kind of it gives students an idea of, if they have a psychology major, for example, what kinds of careers can they get with an associate degree? What kinds of careers with a bachelor's degree and then a master's, et cetera? And then also exactly a sample of, which classes in which order should they take for that major. And so that's been very helpful. We've got them all developed for our associate degree for transfers. Most of our CTE, our career technical education programs, have developed them, and then we're continuing to work on the other degree programs that we have. Increasing opportunities for participation dual enrollment. We've got several CCAP programs that we've developed. So we're offering classes at the high schools during the high school day. And the idea behind that is to get students excited about taking college classes and to think, well, I didn't think I could go to college, but I'm a college student now, I can just continue that. So that's kind of the idea of getting an early start on their college education. And then we continue with our special admit, meaning students will come after their school hours and take classes with us or take classes online with us. And then also at Columbia, we have the middle college program, which has more than doubled in the last year. When I first started, we had about 20 students in middle college, and that went up to 40 a couple of years ago, and now we have 60 students with over 20 to 30 students on the wait list. So they're even thinking about increasing the participation in that next year. Encouraging students to think 30. So that's a new campaign. You might have heard it as 15 to Finish campaign. It's kind of a nationwide campaign going. Is really getting students to think about 12 is not necessarily, it is full-time for financial aid, but it's not on time. If you just take 12 units a semester and not summer, you're not going to finish in 2 years. And that's not even counting your remedial classes. So it's kind of a way of students thinking about, if I want to get a 2-year degree in 2 years, I have to finish 30 units in the first year. And that goes along with some of the new statewide initiatives in financial aid. We have the completion grants and some of the other things that are coming through. And then expanding services to special populations, such as the foster youth and veterans. We've put a lot of focus on that. And as I said earlier, the percentage of special populations we have at Columbia is a lot higher than a lot of the colleges in the state of California. And those are the most needy students. Those are students who need, a lot of extra assistance, a lot of extra financial resources, and so we put a lot of effort into those kind of populations.
So I know we've been talking a little bit, so I'll try to be concise as well. Interestingly, I think a lot of these initiatives are about reducing the median time to degree. Most of the discussions that we have statewide are, why is it that we have such long times for students to complete, and why did they take so many units? Some of our students graduate with 30 and 40 units over what they might necessarily need for an associate's degree. So part of this is really honing in and closing that time degree. And I think part of what she was talking about with getting students to take 15 units, it really keeps them on track in a short timeline, and less possible to leave the campus and we lose them through attrition. So we have one framework that we're working on at MJC, and it's our Guided Pathways framework. I know you've heard about it before, but a lot of our activities are mapped to this and thought through this one philosophy to address really completion at the end, and also address closing achievement gaps across populations. And there's 4 main principles that are on that you'll see. Those are the first 4 that are up there. And also we have a commitment to institutionalizing our equity and success center practices. So the first operation is to try to clarify paths for students, which is to make sure, and I think is exactly what Melissa was saying, is that students understand what degrees are available, what they need to take, and having marketing programs for students to be able to come in and think about what they want to do and what kinds of careers they can have after this. So that means producing these in our career centers, having activities for students, and coming up with real curriculum pathways that make sense with outcomes for them. The second would be our helping students enter a path. And it's very similar to what Melissa said, using things like multiple measures or assessment that helps students get placed into college level material sooner will help them complete. Also, helping students enter the path through dual enrollment at high schools. One of the great things about those CCAP and dual enrollment agreements is you have students coming to you that may have 10 or 15 units done, and our job is to get them the other 45 and get them completed. So there's some real basic things that we could accomplish with students that are in our K-12 partnerships. And then again, helping students enter a path and be successful, knowing what they need to complete. The third is helping students stay on a path as well. And part of our efforts at MJC right now is redesigning our advising for students. We're moving away from not necessarily waiting for students to show up at our counseling centers, but one of the things we've dramatically done over the last 6 months is build data about our students and organize counseling around the idea of having cohorts so that they're assigned to different degrees, and now they have data that they can look at students in those degrees and say, here's students that have this GPA or this many units or this ed plan, to be able to prioritize what students we need to reach out to make sure that they're being successful at 15 units, 30 units, and 45 units, and 60. But what's promising, I think, is what will come next year, is that counselors and our success specialists will have data on particular degrees, and the idea is that they will go visit academic areas and talk with folks that are in business, are in in welding, or are in an English major, and be able to say, here are your students. Here's how they are doing. Here's what their GPAs are. Here's where they're having trouble in classes. What can we do together to collaborate to get your students through a degree? I don't think that we've had that kind of data available or those kinds of conversations. So the idea is that you're collaborating student services with instruction in ways that are really going to focus attention intrusively with students to make sure that they complete. We're also trying to ensure student learning, and under this idea, it's about providing holistic support for students across a variety of programs, and you've heard a lot about them throughout your presentations at the board. I don't want to go too much into them, but our special programs, our EOPS, our DSPS. Also, we have a new Emoja program on campus. We have a male collaborative that works with men of color. So all of those units are specialized towards thinking about how we meet our equity goals. Finally, sorry, our last one was thank you, but to institutionalize our equity and success practices. Next month, you'll see our entire equity student success and support program and basic skills initiative plan, where you'll see how we're trying to institutionalize practices on campus that close achievement gaps, and especially build knowledge and capacity with our faculty and our staff through professional development. That's the end.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions from the board? Okay, we really appreciate that, Melissa and James. Thank you. And Trustee Beggs, I'd like to check in with you. How was the audio for that presentation?
It was fine. I was able to hear and pull up the slides also, so it was great.
Okay, thank you so much. At this point, we'll move to the association reports, and we will begin with our Student Senate activities. I'm not sure who I'm looking for. Is there someone from ASMJC? Please come up.
Good evening, trustees. It's great to be back here again with all of you to report all the great things that have been going on campus. For the past month, we've had our annual awareness library day, which we had back-to-back days on East Campus and West Campus, where we gave tours to students, and we were informing them of all the resources that were available for them. On West Campus, some students weren't even aware there was a library, so it was really informative for them. We've also had Child Development Day, where we were giving out useful information for students to know how to reach their goals into programs. One of our most recent events was Dia de los Muertos, where we had guest speakers come talk about the history of the celebration and how the culture is currently celebrated today. And last night, we attended Veterans Day celebration with the keynote speaker, Mike Ritland, who shared his experience as a Navy SEAL. So it was pretty inspirational and motivating for all of us. And it was very nice to see veterans there as well. Nonetheless, despite the hardship of loss and surviving through midterms, we have stayed together and continued to work hard as a team. It has truly been a great way of building friendships and doing what we love most and serving our students, because at the end of the day, we do serve them. Thank you for your time this evening. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Have made, go ahead, you can sit down. I've made an error that I skipped over of 5.2, soft docs update. And so Sarah Schrader, I apologize, come up.
At all. Good evening, everybody. My name is Sarah Schrader. I'm the controller here at the district. I have been asked by the Board Finance Committee to come and discuss with you a district-wide project that we are working on to implement online forms, workflow, and content management. So the reason that I have been asked to come and do that is because this is a project that I have been very vocal and passionate about since I've been here. I remember walking into the district a little over 4 years ago and going, why do we have so many typewriters around here? Oh, we use typewriters to fill out our travel requests, to fill out this form, to fill out that form. And I thought, okay, we're going to need to find something to help us be a little bit more efficient. And through this process, we have found something to not only help the employees and our operations become more efficient, but to help break down the barriers for our students as well. So to give you a little history and a little background, we did put a subcommittee together back in June of 2016 that contained members from student services, instruction, central services, HR, fiscal, IT. We all came together in Oakdale for about 3 hours and decided, what do we need from an online software product to allow us to become more efficient in our operations, and what is going to be the best for our students. As we went through that process, unfortunately, we did lose our Vice Chancellor of IT at the time. He moved on, thus putting the project a little on hold. But as each new interim Vice Chancellor of IT came in, I introduced myself. I'm Sarah Schrader, I'm the controller, and why we are working on an online project. So if you can help us with that, that would be great. When Vice Chancellor IT Karen Trimble came in, she assisted us with the RFP that needed to go out due to the size and the magnitude of this project. She helped us put together what our needs were to address not only the online forms piece of the project, but the electronic workflow and the content management piece. We sent that out and we followed the standard process. We did receive we sent it out to 4 companies. 2 additional companies requested a copy of the RFP, but we did only get 3 responses. 2 of the responses came from, one was from a company called SoftDocs, another one was called Highland, and another one was called iContracts. Through the evaluation of the RFPs with the subcommittee of individuals from the respective areas across the district, we did look at 2 demonstrations. We had SoftDocs and Highland come in and present their products to us. Through that, the committee decided we would move forward with the company called SoftDocs. And the reason that we did that is because it is a more end-user friendly web-based product. It is not a software that we must download onto our laptops or our computers. It is a total web-based. That means the students can go out on their phone, go out to the website. They can use their iPads, their laptops, and we can use our desktop computers at any time to access this product. So through looking at those demonstrations and going through the contract process, that's why we brought it forward to the Board Finance Committee. Is next month you will see a large contract for SoftDocs on the PO listing. It is over approximately $400,000, and that not only includes the licensing and the software, but it also includes the professional services required with the implementation. We are looking at implementing fiscal services, which includes accounting, which includes accounts payable, includes purchasing, payroll, as well as HR, are going to be the first groups to implement. And that was decided upon by conversation with the campus representatives that we have on our committee, as well as central services. I think they kind of wanted to use central services as the guinea pigs in this implementation project, and hopefully we can work out all the kinks before we start rolling this out to our students and implementing it in areas such as admissions and records and evaluation counseling and the other student and instructional areas that are on the campuses. So I do have a small video for you for the Soft Docs product. I just want to also let you know that this product fully integrates with our current colleague system, which means when we build these forms online, it is able to pull data down from our colleague system, and we will be able to create the forms that after they go through the electronic approval process, that data can then push back up into our own current software. So that is another reason why we went with this product. So I'll go ahead and show the clip, and then if you guys have any questions, then we'll go ahead and address them.
eTrieve by SoftDocs is the next-generation enterprise content management, e-forms, and process automation platform, managing how content is captured, processed, stored, and distributed. Developed exclusively for the higher education and K-12 markets, eTrieve is a fully browser-based, highly customizable software platform that redefines business processes and reduces the need for paper, all while increasing employee productivity and student communications. With eTrieve, it's simple to create completely paperless processes for common student and employee requests. Forms are readily accessible from any device and can build dynamically based on responses. The solution's visual filing structure makes it easy to organize and find employee, vendor, and student records. Whether you're onboarding new hires or processing financial aid, eTrieve offers the ability to create rules for specific workflows, and because it's electronic, content can be automatically routed much faster than paper-based manual processes, reducing processing times from weeks to days. In addition, this modern, responsive solution transitions seamlessly between phone, tablet, and PC with no additional software to install. The next generation of paperless is here. Join the more than 600 institutions who trust SoftDocs to increase their productivity and efficiency by simplifying access to content enterprise-wide. With eTrieve by SoftDocs, you can simply leave the paper behind. To learn more about eTrieve, contact us today.
So again, that's just a small glimpse of what it can do for us. So just to give you real life examples, right now the travel request forms, budget revision forms.
Paper. It's used in our everyday lives. Teacher contract.
Sorry, I don't know what that piece was. Sorry. So to give you an example, our budget revisions, our travel request forms are all completed either on a typewriter or in Excel. They are then printed. They are then growing legs and walking around the district, ultimately to get to its end destination to then have the information put back up into our colleague system. Same with student forms. So students have to go to the respective departments, get what form they need, fill it out via paper, or if it happens to be online, but then it prints and then again, grows legs. Student has to walk it to the department they need to do. This software is going to allow a student or employee to sign in to the software or to sign in on the website, and it will recognize that person at sign-in. So for a student signs in, they need a financial aid form that they have to fill out. It will automatically populate name, address, ID, whatever other content we currently maintain in our colleague system. So the student doesn't have to fill that out anymore. They can electronically sign, and then the forms will electronically flow to where they need to go to get to their destination. So we don't have to send our students to different departments anymore to complete their packets or get their forms in for what they need. So our next steps are working with SoftDocs to allow them access to our current content management system so they can see what forms are in there. And after they do that, we will be doing what they call a discovery phase, having phone calls with them so we can develop a comprehensive implementation plan and move forward. Any questions?
I have one, sir. Is this thing absolutely 100% secure?
We will rely on our IT department to ensure that it is secure.
You know, excuse me, I have erred. When you were sitting back, I could hardly see you. We have a new permanent IT person, and I'd like to introduce you to Roger Clegg, and I'd love to hear you talk. He's a charming voice. Go ahead.
Good.
Any additional questions?
It started in the finance committee, and we asked that you
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. At this point, we will go back to the Student Senate activity reports. Is there anyone here from Columbia College? Okay, and so you're going to be doing it, Pedro? Okay. No, you can just do it from there. Just
I will be
excuse me, though. Be sure you have your microphone on. You just, as I understand it, at Columbia, red means off. Here it means on. And we have Trustee Beggs is joining us by teleconference, so we have to have the microphone for her.
Wonderful. Yes, hello. My name is Pedro Rodriguez. I will be representing Aaron from he is our Columbia College student president for the government. And our report includes, we had a midsummer semester madness, which was just a middle of semester big study room where we had the library open to students. It was very eventful. We had a big turnout, very good feedback from the students. A lot of teachers were very much involved. It went very well. And we're looking forward to having our regular cram night, as we call it. This was just something, as they say, to help the students, remind them that you got to keep going. And so besides the increase in counselor appointments, because many teachers are going to be giving extra credit for students having their ed report done and completed, which is just a report saying, these are the classes I'm going to be taking. I will have them done by this time, and should be finished by this end date. That has been an increase, and that's been a very positive thing happening because lots of students are now going to go talk to their counselors, which was an issue at the time, but that concludes the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pedro. Any questions? All right. Let's move on to the Yosemite Faculty Association. Jim?
Thank you. I'm Jim Salmon, President of the Yosemite Faculty Association. Good evening. I have 4 items to report tonight. First, the YFA has scheduled a special general faculty meeting on Thursday, November 16th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Community Center in Oakdale. All full and part-time faculty have been invited to attend this meeting where the YFA will be covering several topics of interest. Second, the YFA will be holding a special election this month for one of our executive board positions. With unanimous support from both the academic senates and the YFA, Alan McKissick has been elected to his first term as faculty liaison to the board. His new leadership position creates a vacancy for one of the MJC at-large representative positions on the YFA Executive Board. And we anticipate filling this position on November 22nd at our next YFA Representative Council meeting. Third, the YFA has requested a meeting with the administration to discuss its college and career pathway agreements, or also known as CCAP. California Education Code 76004, subsection L, states the CCAP partnership agreement shall certify that both the school district and community college district partners comply with local collective bargaining agreements and all state and federal reporting requirements regarding the qualifications of the teacher or faculty member teaching a CCAP partnership course offered for high school credit. In the March 2016 CCAP guidelines sent by the State Chancellor's Office, it states that it will void any CCAP partnership agreement it determines has not complied with the intent of the requirements of Ed Code 76004. These requirements and guidelines are reinforced verbatim in the March 11th, 2016 legal opinion by the State Chancellor's Office. Yes. It's still on. Yes. I can speak a little more directly into it if that helps. YFA emailed the following 3 questions to the administration at both colleges. Number 1, how exactly did this certification of compliance take place? Number 2, what evidence was submitted regarding this certification of compliance? And number 3, why was YFA not consulted? To date, YFA has received the following explanation. Number 1, the CCAP agreements are justified because all of them resulted from 2 readings of the Board of Trustees before approval. Number 2, that implementation of the CCAP agreements at Columbia College are currently using YCCD faculty. Number 3, the CCAP agreements follow boilerplate templates that parallel most of the state guidelines. And number 4, the implementation of current CCAP agreements is already well underway. These explanations, however, are unsatisfactory. First, having followed board protocol of 2 readings prior to the CCAP approvals, ignores Ed Code 76004's requirement that these agreements shall certify compliance with local collective bargaining agreements, and sidesteps the question of what evidence the colleges submitted to support such compliance. Second, Columbia College's current practice of using existing YCCD faculty does not address YFA's concerns expressed at both college administrations. Third, the fact that the CCAP agreements follow boilerplate templates that parallel most of the state guidelines is especially troubling, since the one area missing from the CCAP agreement involves compliance with local collective bargaining agreements. And fourth, the fact that the implementation of these CCAP agreements is well underway is irrelevant. Simply put, the inconvenience to the colleges by placing the CCAP agreements on hold could have been avoided had the colleges consulted with the YFA to obtain the required certification as the law requires. My thanks to Chancellor Young for agreeing that the parties will meet to discuss these issues in the future. The fourth and final topic to report tonight involves the email sent to the board last month regarding the disparaging remarks made against the YFA by Trustee Lynn Martin. Since November of 2015, when the YFA first began this round of negotiations with the district, 15 faculty members have served on our negotiating team and/or on the executive board. And Trustee Martin has demonstrated this unprofessional behavior at least twice in the last 3 years. In 2014, she commented to Columbia faculty that the reason that we were not getting a 1% off the salary schedule pay increase as everybody else was because YFA leadership did not do that. Last month, Trustee Martin repeated these comments when she stated, "Do you know that the reason that the faculty are not getting the same raise as everybody else is because of the YFA leadership? You might want to replace the YFA leadership." California Government Code, subsection 3543.5, subsection A, states that it is unlawful for a public school employer to otherwise interfere with employee organizations. The Yosemite Faculty Association considers Trustee Martin's comments to be an unfair labor practice against our union. Trustee Martin interfered with the right of faculty to be represented by the YFA by making improper statements that were intended to undermine confidence in the union by urging that YFA leadership should be replaced. Trustee Martin also violated YCCD Board Policy 2715, the Code of Ethics and Standards of Practice, a policy which codifies appropriate and professional trustee behavior when she first violated the ethical standard that trustees shall exercise authority only as a board by majority vote. Number 2, when she violated the ethical standard that trustees shall maintain confidentiality of closed session information. Number 3, when she violated the ethical standard that trustees shall maintain a collegial atmosphere in all activities. And number 4, when she violated the ethical standard that trustees shall use appropriate channels of communication. YCCD Administrative Procedure 2715 states, trustees should understand that while each board member has the right, if not the duty, to speak strongly as to issues, a demonstration of respect and consideration for each other, the district staff, and the members of the community will facilitate positive decision-making at the district. On August 10th, 2016, the board censured one of its own trustees for, in its opinion, violating some of the ethical standards that are codified in Board Policy 2715 regarding comments made about a district employee. Prior to that vote, Trustee Mike Riley, who is recorded on the YFA YouTube channel when we uploaded the video, stated to the district employee, "I want to commend your bravery and encourage in bringing this up. Many people would be afraid to do that with somebody in a superior position here, so I hope that we can be able to send a clear message that we wouldn't want to subject any of our employees to that." Immediately following Trustee Riley's comments, Trustee Martin added, "Well said, Mike. I agree. And I think in one of our closed sessions, I think it was you who said that it was the chancellor who had, if the chancellor had written an email like that, that would be grounds for dismissal. That's how serious we thought it was at that time." While last year's discussion involved an email sent privately to one district employee with the appearance of keeping the comments between two people, the comments made by Trustee Martin were said with the purpose of spreading groundless rumors among faculty to create dissension. Additionally, Trustee Martin's comments raise the obvious question: what is being said in closed session about YFA negotiations that would cause a board member to act in such a manner which violates the district's own ethical standards? During the August 10th, 2016 board meeting, a public apology was made by Trustee DeMartini prior to the vote to censure. Nevertheless, all but one board member voted in favor of this public condemnation. Just a little over 1 year later, one of the trustees who passed judgment on another board member has twice violated the same board policy, and with no apology, public or private, to any of the YFA leadership. Likewise, 2 of the board members who voted a year ago to censure a fellow trustee are now silent regarding both a violation of its own board policy as well as state law. Last month, I shared the feeling among faculty who continuously express low morale as a result of being disregarded and undervalued employees within the Yosemite Community College District. In 1 month's time, Trustee Lynn Martin has demonstrated no urgency to repair her relationship with the YFA leadership in the form of an apology, nor offer any promise to change her behavior, which is unbecoming of an elected official in the district. Further, there was no insistence by our current board members, particularly those who voted last year, that the same ethical standards being championed last year at this time should be treated in like manner today. Your silence is heard, loud and clear.
Thank you, Jim. Not sure what to say at this point. Let's move to CSEA, Debbie.
Good evening, trustees, Chancellor. I'm Debbie Partridge, the CSEA chapter president. Being a member of the IT team, I would like to welcome Roger. I'm very happy to have leadership for our area. CSEA's opening negotiating proposal is on the board agenda tonight, and we're looking forward to meeting and discussing improvements to our contract. Also, every October and November, we accept nominations at our chapter meetings for the 2018 Executive Board officers. So we're in that process now. If offices run opposed, then we will have an election in December. When our chapter heard about the devastating fires impacted by many CSEA members, we put a call out to our membership for individual donations from our members to donate to the CSEA Humanitarian Fund. This fund is highly promoted throughout CSEA and assists many members every year. I'm proud to say that our chapter raised $830, and these are private donations from individuals. And we even received a generous donation from a faculty member who had heard of our cause. I would also like to mention that CSEA has a conference every year, and during that, part of the agenda is a humanitarian presentation. Often there will be members up there who will share their story, who have benefited from the program. And then they pass buckets around for all the people who are in attendance. And in addition to everyone there pulling out of their own pocket and putting in the bucket, even staff members who are at the hotel working will put money in the bucket after hearing the stories. And last year, or this year actually, that bucket drive gathered $33,000 from the people that were there. So I believe that this shows the heart of CSEA members. It was pretty impressive. We all got up and yelled. Also, I'm pleased to announce that we have the Hygiene Donations for Students program up and running. We have bins on East and West Campus, and employees from all areas are donating items. The items are available every other Thursday when the United Samaritans come on campus with the food pantry items. And we have many members of the staff excited for this additional opportunity to help our students. We do have signs up, came up with the staff heart students, and so people can just pick up extra items when they're shopping. And then we send out a nice email that talked about when you could donate, what you can donate, and that this is just an all staff supporting student project, not just a CSEA project. Any questions? Have a pleasant evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Okay. I understand that Curtis Martin does not have a report tonight, so Erin Nagley will go to you.
Good evening, Board, and welcome, Roger. I'm Erin Nagley. I am too tall for this microphone. And also Academic Senate President for Columbia College. So I'm going to keep with my theme of three things. First of all, this coming Monday on November 13th, the campus is holding a suicide prevention day, which you may or may not have heard about, but it goes all day from 8 to 3 and has a mixture of a lot of student participation in speaking out about their experiences with suicide. Friends and family have committed suicide, and the hope is that that day will lead to support and ways to help prevent suicide amongst our students and their families that day. Number two, you might remember 2 months ago I came and talked to you about how the lightning struck and we developed our teaching and learning community group. So I thought I'd give you a couple updates on them. First of all, last week they held a student panel on study habits. So we had 8 students speaking about their study habits, and they were basically interviewed by faculty to figure out what it is our students are doing and what they're not doing. And it was great. It was insightful. Students were very frank. I unfortunately wasn't able to be there, but I did hear some really great reports. And really what faculty learned there is we do very little discussion in class about the nature of learning, that it might happen the first week of class, and then we're just not as explicit about it as we could be throughout the semester. And we also learned that at least those 8 students are skeptics about adopting new study habits, that they want to see they want to see evidence, which I completely appreciate as a skeptic, as well as having it modeled. So that leads me to number 3, is that we're working with our teaching learning community group to put together some test kitchen groups of faculty. So these will be faculty that are working together in small groups, trying to think about a specific topic in their courses about teaching and learning to improve. And the test kitchen group I'm hoping to get together and form will be about how do we talk to students about metacognition and what learning is as it integrates specifically to the courses that they're taking with us. Because the research shows that, right, if you think of students as professional, this is professional development for students, what do you need for that professional development to work? Well, it needs to be in context of something, so this would be in context of the classes and the courses that they're taking. And number two, that's really important, is it needs to happen over a period of time, that you can't just talk about it once and expect it to have any juice to it. So we're hoping to get a group together that will talk about learning habits and what is learning throughout semesters integrated into our courses. And that was 3. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Erin, and thank you for speaking right into the mic.
You bet.
Hope it wasn't too uncomfortable. At this time, we will go to the faculty representative to the board, Alan McKissick. And just make sure your mic's on. No, you can't. I mean, you can, but Leslie won't be able to hear you.
I'll try this. Greetings to the board and to Leslie. I hope you can hear me.
No, I don't think so.
All right. How's this?
No, I can.
Oh, okay. You can.
Trustee Beggs. Yesterday, there was a board study session on investigation practices and the due process therein. Faculty are very interested in this topic, which should already be clear from testimony in past meetings of the board. We hope the session contributed to ongoing discussion of and work on these issues. We also hope that in the future, board study sessions can be scheduled in the afternoon or sometime on a Friday, so it is more practical for faculty and perhaps the public to attend. In my own case, I wanted to attend. I would have had to cancel 2 classes, and I decided I should not do that. I also want to mention that Director of MJC Nursing Program, Professor Lisa Riggs, brought to my attention that a presentation relating to the nursing program had been scheduled for board meeting, but a change in meeting date caused it not to work out. Director Riggs is ready, willing, and eager to reschedule the presentation. We hope that will happen, along with additional presentations in future board meetings. It is my understanding that the ESL department presented to a board study session last spring, and it was very, very well received. I think we have some more presentations to be very, very well received by the board. I believe so. Since last speaking to you, I've been able to speak with several board members, and I hope to speak with several more in the next few weeks. I had the privilege and the pleasure to speak with Chancellor Yang. I wish to thank him again for his time, for what became a long conversation. In that conversation, I addressed faculty morale, and I expressed my belief that it is improving.
Thank you. I guess I'm trying to sneak here. We're going to have to not delay Lisa's presentation because she's on the agenda tonight because she's retiring in May of next year. So maybe we can make a point to get her to give that presentation to the board before she leaves.
She mentioned something about the December board meeting.
Oh, like a study session. Is that what you mean? That's certainly a possibility too, because we've done it that way. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. And now we'll go to LTAC, the Leadership Team Advisory Council. And Leslie sent a text that you don't have to, if you just have the mic on and speak towards it, that she can hear.
Good evening, Klaus Timbergen reporting out on behalf of LTAC. The LTAC board met today and will continue to meet monthly before each YCCD board meeting. We also will have 2 open LTAC meetings planned for spring and fall 2018, where we invite all LTAC members. As a reminder, dues are due on January 1st, 2018 for LTAC membership. We established a work group to work on the survey comments we received from our membership eventually bringing feedback to the LTEC board as well as to this board. Currently, we have under review the 2015 LTEC handbook, and we will forward recommendations for changes to our membership. And last but not least, we forwarded 9 memorial donations for loved ones, for LTEC loved ones who passed away throughout the year. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move to 5.4 activities and announcements. We'll begin with Modesto Junior College.
Thank you, Chair DeMartini. Good evening, trustees and Chancellor Young. There are a variety of events still occurring in November on the MJC campuses. 2, I'd like to bring your attention to this week. Tomorrow evening is the art reception for the show featuring works by Doug Sandlin. And on Saturday is the harvest party in the Ag Pavilion. Always a fun event, and we also have a football game at home on Saturday, so there's lots to do on both campus or this weekend. I'd like to bring your attention to 2 very outstanding competition teams representing MJC. Our speech and debate team just had a fabulous winning streak at 3 different tournaments, and our dairy judging team also did very well at their last 3 competitions, and so our congratulations to all those students who did such an outstanding job. This evening, I'd like to introduce to you as well our new Dean of Student Services, Dr. Ashley Griffith, who is here. Ashley, will you stand? Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome to her, and she and Roger started on the same day, so they both have exactly 1 week under their belts with YCCD. And since Curtis didn't have anything to share this evening, I'd like to just give a brief update around our guided pathways work. We are using Friday afternoons a couple of times a month to have sessions that we're calling Paving the Pathway or Paving the Path. And we have held 2 such sessions already. And I'm incredibly pleased with the turnout and the engagement that we are having. We have lots of homework to do as part of the California Guided Pathways 20 and some interesting data sets that they have asked us to look at a little bit outside of what we have traditionally looked at MJC. And so it's been some fabulous opportunities to have conversation around things that we didn't know. And this last time we really looked at students in programs. So we know the exact number of students who have said, I am an art student or I am a computer science student. And then looking at the graduates in those programs and seeing, is there a relationship between those 2 numbers? And so very interesting conversations and different ways to look at what is the pattern of students in our institution. So we head to the Guided Pathways Institute number 2 at the end of the month, and I'm looking forward to that opportunity to seeing what comes next in this new work that we're engaged in. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jill. Let's move on to Columbia College.
Good evening, board. Welcome, Roger. We're all excited that you're here, and I particularly enjoy the fact that I have a fellow Brit now. And you should be hearing more of my English accent now coming out. So you have my written report. Peter already shared with you about the midterm madness, that this is our first year of doing it. And, sounds like it was as successful as the cram night, so that was really good. 2 weeks ago, we convened a healthcare summit to help inform our strong workforce plans and how we know at Columbia College that we do not have strong representation in serving the needs of the healthcare employers in preparing a skilled workforce. So we invited, I think we had about close to 40 people there, and including colleagues from MJC, to talk about what are the needs in our service area and how, what are the skills necessary and what might be our niche that we could enter the healthcare field as far as training. As a result of that, we're partnering with MJC on a certified nursing assistant program and looking at some other opportunities, medical assisting. So again, we're going to be, MJC is going to be expanding a cohort for Columbia, so we'll still be in MJC programming, but at least we'll be helping serve the needs. But it was a tremendous turnout, lots of good suggestions, lots of good dialogue, and I think that our community is really we're putting Columbia College on the map in a much different way than we had before, just by being way more strategic in how we're approaching trying to meet those needs and really listening to the people that have the capacity to hire people into good paying jobs. You know, also know at Columbia we have, we're fond of our traditions that we establish. And about 3 years ago, we had our first flash mob on Halloween, close to Halloween, to the tune of Michael Jackson's Thriller. And so now that's become an annual thing. And it's a really fun time. If you imagine 60 people line dancing to Thriller and doing all these kind of monster moves, and everyone gets involved, and we all came out. They had it in the lower area of Manzanita, so we were able to come out onto the balcony area and watch down below. So it was really a fun time. Last Friday was Dinner with a Scientist, and we hosted. It's through the Tuolumne County Office of Ed, but the college is hosting it, and our science faculty participate. We have all those youngsters sitting down and learning all about science and doing some of these really neat experiments. And the idea is to expose students to careers in the science field. Something that is not on my report, and we found this out yesterday, is that one of our very own faculty, Matt Fox, who is the counselor in EOPNS, and he's also the coordinator of our program, in the statewide conference in Newport Beach, he was awarded the Leadership of the Year for 2017. Said this award is for being an exemplary leader at all levels of your EOPNS commitments and professional responsibilities. Leading by example inspires your students and colleagues to their very best. And so we have a group from our EOPNS program that are there in Newport Beach, and they sent us a photo of Matt receiving his award. It was a nice surprise because it's a statewide honor, and they only award one each year. So we should. My report.
I have a question for you on your report. Is there any chance that there's any video of the flash mob? Well, could maybe could it be put up there 5 minutes before the meeting next month? Next month? Oh, you've got it after the meeting. Okay. All right. How about after the meeting? We'll get together, Pedro. Thank you. That's great. All right. At this time, we will move to 5.6 presentations update from our Chancellor, Henry Young.
Good evening. One of the things that I want to do as a chancellor is to engage the community by reaching out to our community partners and entities in the community. And as we recognize the fact that this district is over 4,500 square miles, that area comprises a lot of community and outreach. I've been doing that, and most recently I had the opportunity to visit with the mayor of Turlock, Gary Soiseth, and this is in addition to the mayor of Modesto that I previously met, and I am also planning to visit the mayor of Ceres. So I'm making my rounds in the community, as well as the elected officials. I most recently visited Heath Flora, who represents the 12th district. And I just want to give you a quick summary of the impression I've received from people in the community. It is overwhelming positive of our two colleges and the opportunities that the two colleges are providing for this region of California. It was pointed out to me that Sacramento doesn't always understand our unique needs and challenges, but at least we have two colleges that are trying to fill that need to give residents a better life. So I want to take that back to all of you so that you can take it back to your own constituent groups and share with them that your work is recognized out in the community. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Henry. Next on the agenda is the grants activity update. We have an information sheet of the registry, which was funded. We've had that for many years, and a newly submitted grant. Does the board have any questions about any of those? Okay, let's move on then to the consent agenda. There's one item that's going to be pulled. I'll let Jill explain that.
Thank you, Chair DeMartini. I'd like to pull item 6.8, the Institutional Effectiveness Partnership Initiative Guided Pathways Self-Assessment Tool. We will be bringing that forward to the board for consideration in December. It's quite lengthy, and I wanted to make sure that there was ample time to review the 37-page document.
I appreciate the time for reading that. Thank you. Before we take a motion on this, and we certainly will allow time after the motion is made and seconded for comments. I know, Abe, I'm sure you have some this time, but I've been instructed that this is the motion that I'd appreciate someone to move and someone to second, that someone needs to move that 6.1, the Board of Trustees approves action items 6.2 through 6.7 and item 6.9 on the consent agenda. Is there a trustee who will move that?
That's what I'll move.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
And then,
It's been moved by trustee Rojas and seconded by trustee Darren Garrett to approve that motion for action items 6.2 through 6.7 and 6.9. And trustee Rojas, do you have some comments on that?
before we entertain the motion or vote on the motion, I'd like to make reference to our retirement. Gloria Coates, 25 years of service. Charles Shipinary, 17 years of service. Sarah Curl, 27 years of service. Lawrence Dushare, 30 years of service. Dave Keener, 15 years of service. Christian Pomeroy, 10 years of service. Lisa Riggs, 24 years of service. Karen Rods, I think it is, Rods, 29 years of service. Richard Serios, 31 years of service. Teresa Scott, 33 years of service. And Merle Soto, 24 years of service. That's a lot of teaching experience we're losing.
Very much. Any other comments? Okay, then we will have to do a roll call vote on voting yes or no on the consent agenda. Student trustee, do you wish to provide an advisory vote or? Okay, that's fine. So let's start with Abe Rojas. Do you vote yes or no on this motion?
Yes.
Okay, trustee Viss? Yes. I vote yes. Darren?
Yes.
Lynn? John?
Yes.
And trustee Beggs?
Yes.
Okay, the motion has carried. We'll move to the action items now. We'll have the quarterly report on the district's financial condition.
Evening again, everybody. Sarah Schrader, controller here at the district. Tonight, before you for approval is our first of 4 quarterly reports. So this takes the time period of July 1st, 2017 through September 30th of 2017. The first few pages are the standard state format for the quarterly report. It is only the general unrestricted funds. So you will see that it does, Section 1 does provide you some historical information from 2014-15 through last year, as well as our budget for 17-18. The second section shows the FTES projections, so we are reporting that we will remain flat at $16,542. We also show our cash position at about $16 million. And then section 4 gets into the information of the year-to-date actuals. So we've received 15% of what we've projected thus far, so a little over $15 million. And our expenditures are at about 23% of $23 million. So for section 5, it does ask us if the district has settled any employment contracts during the quarter, which we did. We settled our contract with CSEA as well as our agreement with LTAC, and that is where we document how much it will cost the district for the next 3 years. We did settle the 2% agreement with both groups as well as the medical benefit cap increase. So you will see the increased costs for years 1, 2, and 3, about $180,000 for salary and benefits for about $34,000. Section number 6 asks us about any long-term debt. We did not enter any debt during the quarter, and we do not plan to at this time, so we have said no, and we have also indicated no for any significant fiscal problems that need to be addressed at this point. If you go to page 3, this is kind of our own internal report that breaks down the information a little bit more in terms of what the revenue is by different categories, as well as expenditures by location. And I know that there was a question in the past about what does this line mean? What does this other line have? So we've put a few little notes in there to try to help answer some questions. So for example, other state revenue contains our Board of Governors fee waivers administration, any funds that we receive from the baccalaureate program, and some part-time faculty compensation, statewide money that comes in. One of the new lines that you see on here, line number 6, as well as the corresponding line number 14, Governmental Accounting Standards Board number 68 has now required the district to record what they call an CalSTRS on behalf payment. The state makes a payment directly to CalSTRS on our employees' behalf, and there is zero effect to our financial statements because we record the revenue as well as the expenditures, the net effect being zero. But we can't record this until the end of the fiscal year when all of the payroll has been posted for any of our CalSTRS employees, and so that calculation isn't done till the end of the year, so that's when you'll see that line populated. But we do have a budget set up of about $1.8 million for that line item this year. Any questions related to where we're at financially for the first quarter? Yes, yeah.
I have a question, Sarah, and I think it's something that's been covered before, but I just want to make sure that I'm understanding correctly. On the first page, the one from the chancellor, the one of 2, if you look at G1 under the annualized attendance FTES,
Yes.
then the actual reported for, I'm looking in the third column, 2016-17, that number is the actual number of FTES that we had because we didn't have enough to carry
We did.
back.
We chose not to roll any of our FTS back.
Okay, so if, in the fourth column, if we get to that number, then we're okay.
If we get to the 16,542, yes, we will go back to our base and we will have no loss in revenue.
So essentially that year will just go away.
Yes.
But if we don't get to the number, that's when,
Then we will have to have some discussions on whether we're going to roll back or roll forward and how we're going to handle that.
okay. That's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure.
Bless you.
Bless you.
So does anyone else have any questions?
Well, I would just like to note that if you look at total expenditures for both Modesto Junior College, Columbia College, and Central Services, if you just use a rudimentary formula of 8.33% times 3 for the quarter, we're below those budget expectations in all 3 categories. And if you look at total expenditures, We're about 2.5, a little over 2.5% below, so we're fine.
Yeah, and also remember that for the first, this is July through September, so we are having some payroll that is not necessarily posted because of full-time faculty or faculty that's not paid out during that time, so it tends to be lower on the front end.
Any more questions? Okay, at this time, we are required to hold a public hearing to review this report. So the public hearing is open. Is there anyone that would like to ask questions or say something? Public hearing is closed. And do we need a motion to have this filed with the Community College Chancellor's Office? Okay, so is there a motion?
To accept the staff's recommendation.
Okay, so it's been moved by Abe Rojas.
Second.
I think I heard Don Viss is the seconded. So it's been moved and seconded that we direct that this report be filed with the California Community College's Chancellor's Office. We will do this by roll call vote. We'll start with John Rodriguez. Do you vote yes or no?
Aye.
Okay, aye. And Lynn? Yes. And Darren? I vote yes. Don? And Abe?
Yes.
And Leslie?
Yes.
Okay, and the motion has carried. Okay, thank you. Next, we have to have a public hearing and resolution of intent to dedicate an easement. The recommendation is that we dedicate this easement to the Tuolumne Utilities District for the purpose of installation, maintenance, and repair of electrical conduits. And we set next December 13th for the public hearing on the matter. Is this something that you need to make comments on, Angie, or? No, okay, so is there someone who will move the recommended action?
So moved.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved by Trustee Darren Garrett and it's seconded by Trustee Lynn Martin. All those in favor of adopting the resolution? Oh, yeah, okay. With the intent to dedicate the easement. Is there any discussion? Okay, then we'll do a roll call vote, and let's start with Abe. How do you vote?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
I vote yes. Darren?
Yes.
Lynn? John?
Yes.
Leslie?
Yes.
Okay, the motion has carried. Okay, and now we're to, am I in the right place? 7.3 personnel negotiations. Okay, so someone going to speak to this? With no need to?
No, this is just required to sunshine the proposals of both parties, and those were exchanged, and as Debbie had noted, and will commence negotiations in January.
Okay. So is there someone who will move that the recommended action?
So moved.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved by Darren Garrett and seconded by?
Second.
Abe Rojas. Any discussion? Okay, Leslie, we'll start with you this time. How do you vote? Aye or no? Are you, Leslie, I'm going to start with you this time. Are you there?
Am I supposed to vote on this one since it has to do with negotiations?
It's only for CSCA, not YFA. So
Okay.
yes, you vote.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Trustee Beggs has voted yes. Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Martin, yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, passed unanimously. Okay, and now we move to the academic calendars for 2018, 2019, and 2019 and 2020. It's recommended that the Board of Trustees adopt these calendars. Someone like to move that?
So moved.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved by
I'll move.
Okay, it's been moved by Abe Rojas and seconded by Leslie Beggs. Is there any discussion on the calendars? Okay, so you either vote aye to approve them or no to not approve them. Let's start with John,
Aye.
Lynn, Darren.
Aye.
Ann says yes. And Leslie?
Aye.
Okay, the motion has carried. Next, we have the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee membership. There is a member who, excuse me, is willing to serve an additional term. And I've been told, and I totally believe this, that the closer we get to the end of the bond, the harder it is to find people to volunteer to serve on this committee. So I hope that everyone's in favor of that. Is there someone who would make, to vote the recommendation?
I'll make a motion to adopt the recommendation to appoint Thomas Solomon, business organization, with a third term to the Major E-Bond Citizens Bond Oversight Committee.
All right. It's been moved by Darren Garrett and seconded by Don Viss that we approve appointing this person for his third term. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed will say no. And we'll start with Abe. How do you vote? All right, let me start with Don. Don? Yes. Yes, and Abe? Okay, and I vote yes. Darren?
Yes.
Lynn? John?
Yes.
Leslie?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now we come to the comments from the Board of Trustees, things that they've been up to since the last board meeting. Darren, let's start with you.
I don't know how you start in the middle, but okay.
Just shaking it up there.
Taking it up. I had a couple meetings with our chancellor along with Chair DeMartini. I went to a MJC College Foundation reception for our new chancellor. I want to thank Jill and the Great Valley Museum and all the staff for putting that together. I thought it was a very nice, intimate event, and I thought, Jill, you did a good job of trying to emphasize, along with George, about how important the College Foundation is, and we're trying to get people to offer up and donate to that important cause. So thank you again for doing that. And I had a very nice lunch meeting with the CSEA chapter president, Debbie Partridge. We discussed a few things, and then I had a meeting with the chancellor where I passed along her thoughts and ideas. So again, thank you, Debbie, for the opportunity. So that's all I have for the, oh, wait a minute, I have one more thing. I was at a Celebration of Life event here within the last, well, it was this past weekend. And one of the individuals that got up, it was for a gentleman that passed away who was the car club I belonged to, was the president for many years. And his lifelong friend, they had been friends for 61 years, got up and spoke. And this gentleman is probably without a doubt the best antique car mechanic you're ever going to find. And he just loves it. You'll never see him stress about anything. He just loves what he's doing. And that love and that passion all started at Modesto Junior College in the mid-50s. And I believe the instructor's name was Olmsted, was the mechanics, auto mechanic instructor. And that's where it all started. So not only can MJC provide you with a career path and career opportunities, but it can also provide you with a passion that you take with you into your hobbies. I thought that was a really nice story. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Darren. Let's move to Lynn next, please.
I attended the due process study session yesterday.
Okay. John?
I have no reports.
Okay. Pedro, why don't you, in addition to reporting whatever you did, share with the MJC audience a little bit about yourself like you did at Columbia? We'd like to hear that.
Be happy to. In terms of what I've been up to, I mostly attend many student government meetings at Columbia College. They go very smoothly. I love working with many of the people there. Everyone's been very friendly. I've opened a communication between me and many of the club presidents in a way to start asking a bigger group of students at one at a time instead of one at a time, just asking them in groups as clubs. So that's been going very smoothly. Everyone's been very cooperative. I attended the several speech competitions last weekend where I had the liberty of listening to the MJC speakers, which they did very well. I was very impressed, and shout out to them. As for myself, my name is Pedro Rodriguez. I'm currently studying for psychology. I'd very much like to work with people. I have a passion to help those who need help and who are unable to help themselves. This is mainly due to I'm a very faithful person, and all of this and many other great qualities I hope to show to everyone are in due to my mother, who happens to be here as well. If she could stand up once again, I'm going to give her a shout out. I love her very dearly, and I look forward to getting to know anyone here. And if there's anything I can do, I'd very much love to assist. I very much am always eager to learn something new. Thank you.
Well, we're very happy to have you. Thank you for that report. Let's move to Abe.
I don't know what I did. I'll explain. I have what they call Meniere's disease, and it's a loss of the inner ear nerve, and I have good days and bad days. Most of you noticed that I wasn't at the board meeting in Columbia. I was having a bad day. Yesterday, I had a half a bad day where I had to leave early. So today, I'm having a good day. So I try to attend whatever I can.
Thank you. Don?
And I have no report.
Okay. Leslie, do you have a report?
Yes, I had lunch with Chancellor Young. I think it was the 24th of October.
Okay, we're having trouble
attended
hearing
the-
you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I moved closer to the phone. So I said I had lunch with Chancellor Young, but I think it was October 24th. On November 2nd, I attended the President's Circle MJC Foundation event at the Great Valley Museum, and I agree with Darren, everything he said, it was great. I had a telephone interview with Meredith Brown in preparation for the due process study session. And I attended the due process study session remotely from the room I'm in right now. So hello from the Menifee campus of San Jacinto Community College.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you very much. And for myself, I attended, along with Darren, the agenda review and the post-agenda review with Chancellor Young. I attended a Great Valley Museum Board meeting. I was able to attend the agriculture dinner that inducted the MJC Ag Department into the National Hall of Fame for the Ag Center, and of course the due process workshop yesterday. Okay, I want to thank all of you for coming. Appreciate that. Our next meeting will be December 13th. It will be in this boardroom. Closed session will start at 3:30, and the open session will be at 5:30. So
Excuse me. I actually moved past something I wish to bring up to the board's attention.
Okay.
I apologize for this. I'd like to ask if we can move this topic to the next agenda for discussion item. At the student government meeting, a student went to the meeting and asked me to speak to the board about a current bill that is being passed in order to help the veterans receive more funding. The bill is a quick overview of what it is. $10 million are being donated to the junior college, and half of it is going to be distributed evenly throughout the 114. The other half is going to be distributed to the colleges with the most students. And the issue he had with the bill was that it is assessing the colleges on the students' population rather than the veterans that are attending them. And statistically, earlier as we saw, rural colleges seem to have a lot more veteran impact in the campus. And he just wanted to bring up the fact that there's a possibility that we might not be serving our veterans as much as we can be. And this, resonated with me because, leaving Boy Scouts as an Eagle, I had the opportunity to say hi and goodbye to a lot of veterans who took the time and effort to volunteer many hours and hours, years even, to help me grow as a person. And I'd very much like to give back in any way I can. I know many people share this same sympathy I have. So I very much wanted to bring that to the board's attention because they very much were well researched about it, and I wish to give back as well.
Okay. Henry, is this something where you and Pedro could get together and figure out the best thing to do?
Certainly. I'll be happy to follow up with you, Pedro, on that. And one of the ways that we could do that is to have effective engagement with our legislative representatives. And so I will be getting in touch with you to follow up. Thank you.
Okay. So at this time, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm